Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. IRS urges caution with emails, social media, and phones as part of the Dirty Dozen series. IR 2021-137, June 29th, 2021, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service today continues its, quote, Dirty Dozen, end quote, scam series with a warning to taxpayers to watch out for unexpected schemes in the form of emails, text or social media messages, and phone calls. So those sound like kind of phishing type of emails, which can be quite tricky, actually. They usually have a component of basically urgency, trying to get people to act really quickly, and possibly some kind of threat related to it, possibly using some kind of authority such as the IRS, or pretending to have some kind of authority such as that. So unscrupulous individuals seek to obtain personal information for the purpose of tax-related identity theft. So obviously, many times these types of emails are trying to get the information possibly so that they can have identity theft, possibly in order to actually file a tax return with someone else's information, which could be something that a lot of scammers might be looking more into, considering the fact that the tax credits have gone up a lot. So these refundable type of tax credits could result in people, almost surely will result in people increasing the types of scams that will be out there. So you got to be on a higher lookout as long as we have these increased levels of money that is basically going out, and as long as they increase the amount of these refundable types of credits and make that, because that makes the theft a more valuable thing, obviously. So whether through a telephone call, text message, or email, the con artist tries to convince the recipient that they need to provide social security numbers, bank account, or credit card information, or passwords. The scam may also include sending links that, once clicked on, can download malicious software that collects or mines the personal data. So clearly they might want you to give them the information, personal information, including banking and the social security card type of stuff. Also note that if you click on anything, again, that can be dangerous as well, because they might have software or whatever that can then be put on your computer, possibly then reading your keystrokes or something like that, so they can pick up the information just by the keystrokes or something like that. Therefore, if you see anybody or someone asks you about these types of emails or something, you don't typically want to click on it. You want to go to the website itself. Go directly to the IRS website itself. Go to your account from the website there. Obviously, usually they're going to try to be pressuring time to get the response that's going to be involved. And when you're dealing with something like a phone call, or when we're checking our messages as we're moving around throughout the day, our patience are usually lower. So it becomes a lot easier, a lot more likely that we'll click on the link just to try to do stuff fast, and that's kind of what they're relying on. But typically what you want to be able to do is sit down and go directly to the website and not click on the links, because they could have the software, the malicious software and whatnot. So, okay, so often criminals pose as someone the recipient knows or frequently contacts with. So that's kind of the standard type of thing here. This is someone that you think you possibly know, and you feel obligated to respond to them. Whether a social or family relations or a business contact, they gather much of this information from social media. So clearly, the more social media accounts we have out there, it's great to have that information out there, but it's becoming easier and easier as the software gets better to compile a pretty accurate list of people possibly even getting their login information and whatnot, and the security code questions that are typically asked, like mother's maiden name and this kind of stuff, simply from the social media. So a person's contact or friends are used to bait the recipient into thinking they're dealing with someone they know. More information on the IRS's, quote, Dirty Dozen, end quote, list can be found on a special section of IRS.gov. There's a link to that here. Tax-related phishing scams persist. The IRS warns taxpayers, business, and tax professionals to be on alert for continuing surge of fake emails, text messages, website, and social media attempts to steal personal information. These attacks tend to increase during tax season and remain a major cause of identity theft through the year. So they may actually basically put something together like a website that would look like or mirror something like the IRS website, which can be an intimidating agency, of course, and then could try to, muscle information that way through possibly kind of intimidation. So phishing scams target individuals with communications appearing to come from legitimate sources to collect victims' personal and financial data and potentially infect their devices by convincing the target to download malicious programs. Cybercriminals usually send these phishing communications by email, but may also use text messages or social media posts or messages. So clearly the email's probably the most likely, but I guess you can get this malicious software on your phone too with a text message and whatnot. So I guess we gotta be careful with that as well. So these phishing scams can be tricky and cleverly designed to look like they're from the IRS or from others in the tax community. Taxpayers are reminded to continually watch out for emails and other scams posing as the IRS, like those promising big refund, missing stimulus payment, or even issuing a threat. So these types of things, that's generally what they're going to do. Obviously, with these payments going out there, they're going to say, hey, give us this information so that we can process this payment, this and that, or the other thing. Or you've got those ones that give us this payment, or some FBI is going to knock on your door or something with a little scarier kind of one there. But again, generally what you want to do with those is not click on the link, but, take a breath and go back to the IRS website directly and then check it out from there. So people should not open attachments or click on links on these emails or text messages. So phishing scams targeting tax professionals as part of the Security Summit effort. There's a link to the Security Summit here. The IRS warns tax professionals about phishing scams involving verification of electronic filing identification numbers, the EFIN, and Centralized Authorization File, the CAF numbers. The agency has seen an increase in these kinds of scams, along with offers to buy and sell the EFINs and CAFs. So there's actually a secondary market, it looks like, for these authorization numbers, which is not good. So tax professionals have reported receiving scam emails from the fictitious IRS tax e-filing. There's a link to that here. And the IRS reminds tax professionals who receive those emails to not open any attachments or click any links. Rather, they should report the scam to the Treasury Inspector General for the Tax Administration. There's a link to that here. So obviously, as the IRS firms and whatnot are dealing, or people that are dealing with these kind of sensitive information, they can be targets as well. And so got to be careful there. So the IRS reminds tax professionals to protect themselves against the unauthorized use of an EFIN. Tax professionals must not transfer their EFIN or ETIN by sale, merger, loan, gift, or otherwise to another entity. Phishing. New client scams target tax pros. The, quote, new client, end quote, scam continues to be a prevalent form of phishing for tax pros. So obviously, if you're a tax professional, you're picking up new clients and whatnot. It's kind of difficult when you've never had a communication with someone to know whether they are indeed an actual new client or not. And then that's a phishing scam, of course, geared towards the tax professional. So here's an example of the form of an email. Quote, I just moved here from Michigan. I have an urgent tax issue and was hoping you could help, end quote. The email begins, quote, I hope you are taking on new clients, end quote. The email says one attachment is an IRS notice and other attachment is the prospective client's prior year tax return. This scam has many variations, so tax professionals should be wary and avoid opening the attachments or clicking links which they don't know the email sender. So obviously the idea there would be to get the tax professional to click on the link and possibly download malicious software that they can then do nefarious things to the poor, helpless CPA client, and it'd be terrible. So don't click on it. So knowing what to watch for can help. Below is an actual example of another receipt client scam email. So they got the subject is the tax, and then it says Jimmy's here, and then it says, hello, I got your contact details from Karen. And then it says, since we should be retiring, I would need your professional tax preparation service to help prepare my tax for 2020. Please send me an email with your requirements, detailed information of what you will need, and any important changes I might need to know, and so on and so forth. So if you see an email like that, then they're not actually a client. They're not actually a client. They don't want to work with you. They want to steal stuff So, impersonator phone calls / vishing. Individuals should be wary of unexpected phone calls asking for personal financial information. The IRS has been an increase in voice-related phishing or vishing, particularly from scam-related federal tax liens. So obviously tax liens, when the IRS actually takes action, collection action, that's scary. So that's what scammers can use to kind of scare people. So for those receiving phone calls out of the blue, security experts recommend asking questions of the caller but not providing any personal information. If in doubt, hang up immediately. And so again, if someone's calling you from the IRS, and it's possible they can do that, obviously, but you'd probably be well aware if the IRS is kind of taking action to that point, because usually you would have received a series of letters. But if you're questionable about it, then you want to let go, say, hey, look, I'm not sure if this is a legitimate call, and then just stop talking to them, let go, hang up the phone, even though it's kind of rude to do that, and then contact the IRS on your side, because obviously these kind of scammers take advantage of people being nice, So the more you hang on the phone, the more they can put their hooks into you. And so you're the fish. So like you don't want the hook. You don't want them to put the hook in you. So you got to hang up the phone, and then contact the IRS directly. So during 2020, almost 400 vishing scams were reported, a 14% increase from the prior year. Of those vishing scams, 25% were scammers who tried to use fake tax lien information. The number of tax lien related scams increased from 58 in 2019 to 104 in 2020, an increase of 79%. The IRS urges taxpayers to refrain from engaging potential scammers on the phone or online. And if you're dealing, like, a lot of the scammers are kind of a joke. It's just like, man, you feel bad, like how, but some of them, if they're a good scammer, then, you don't want to start talking to, like, you want to cut off the conversation as soon as possible, right? So if you have any questions as to whether they're actually legitimate people from the IRS or not, best thing to do, say, hey, look, I'll contact the IRS directly myself. I'm sorry, but that's what I want to do, and hang up on them, right? While both IRS and the Federal Trade Commission have seen a decline in the number of reports of scammers claiming to be from the IRS telephoning potential victims, the agency urges taxpayers to be wary. The IRS has seen a 43% decrease in the number of reports of calls from callers claiming to be from the IRS, 20,500 in 2020 compared to 36,000 in 2019. The FTC saw a 67% decline from the 7,694 reports. And these are just the reports. So obviously, I mean, what percentage of these actual calls are reported? I would think it would be fairly low. So that's kind of a lot. I mean, it's probably a lot of calls. So while the number may be on the decline, the IRS urges taxpayers to remain vigilant and to remember the following things about the IRS. The IRS generally first contacts people by mail, not by phone, about unpaid taxes. So if the IRS is going to take action on you, you typically know about it because they've typically been sending you letters every 30 to 60 days or, on a routine related to their scheduled basis before they, call you and say, we're giving you a lien or something like that. So the IRS may attempt to reach individuals by phone, but will not insist on payment using the iTunes card, gift card, prepaid debit card, money order, or wire transfer. And this is a dead giveaway for people. I've seen people call, on a scamming type of thing, saying something that's not related to the IRS, but kind of a scary thing, like your cousin or over here or something like that is in jail and they need bail money or something like that, which is, well, that's kind of scary, But then they get to the point where, like, yeah, pay us with a gift card. And as soon as you get to the gift card payment, it's like, why in the world, with all the payment options, would I have to pay them with a gift card? That's usually kind of a giveaway right there, because they don't want the audit trail, of course, of some other payment method, like a PayPal or bank transfer or something like that. So if someone asks you to pay them with a gift card, then, I mean, that's kind of, like, what is going, no. So the IRS will never request personal or financial information by email, text, or social media. Recipients of these calls should hang up before giving out any information. So again, it's rude, but if you got a good scammer, they're gonna try to get you not to hang up. They're gonna keep on talking, and if they're good at it, they'll be good at it. So you got to just say, nope, sorry, hang up, and then that's okay. Don't feel bad, just do it. So if anyone receives an unexpected call from the IRS that they believe to be a scam, they can report it to the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. There's a link to that here. Social media scams continue. Taxpayers should be aware of social media scams, which frequently use events like the COVID-19 to try to trick people. Social media enables unscrupulous individuals to lurk on accounts and extract personal information to use against the victim. So these cons may send emails impersonating the victim's family, friends, or coworkers. Social media scams may also lead to tax-related identity theft. The basic element of social media scams is convincing a potential victim that he or she is dealing with a person close to them that they trust via email, text, or social media messaging. Using personal information, a scammer may email a potential victim and include a link to something of interest to the recipient, but which contains malware intended to commit more crimes. So the scammer also infiltrate their victims' emails and cell phones to go after their friends and family with fake emails that appear to be real, and text messaging soliciting, for example, small donations, fake charities that are appealing to the victims. So individuals should know that any of their information that is publicly shared on social media platforms can be collected and used against them. So again, this used to be kind of a thing that is like, yeah, there's no possible way that someone can really collect all that data and really put something together. But it seems now that the software is getting better at that. So just by social media accounts, a lot of information can be compiled. They can be answered to security questions like the general one: what's your mother's maiden name? Where were you born? This kind of thing could be probably compiled a lot more easier than it could, even 5 years ago, just with the data that most people just put out there on, social media. So one way to circumvent these schemes is to review privacy settings and limit data that is publicly shared. Ransomware on the rise. So financial institutions should be aware of trends and indicators of ransomware, which is a form of malicious software malware designed to block access to computer systems or data. Access is often blocked by encrypting data or programming on information technology IT systems to extort ransom payments from victims in exchange for decrypting the information and restoring victims access to their system. So that's the scariest, probably the scariest one, where they just lock you out of your computer by using ransomware and then try to get a ransom from you to get your data back, which is just seems like a horrible situation, because obviously if you pay them, it's one of those situations where like, well, what if I pay them and they don't give it, then they still want more money or something. Like, it seems like, I don't think paying them seems like a good idea normally, but in any case, you got to do what you think it through there. I would, anyway. So in some cases, in addition to the attack, the perpetrators threaten to publish sensitive files belonging to the victims, which can be individuals or business entities. So obviously, the other scheme that they can do once they have the data is to say that they're gonna ruin you with it somehow, and then pay us or something. Any case, I still think that giving them money is not a good idea. I mean, if they threaten you with that, then what's to stop them from doing it again like a week later, So, anyways, the U.S. Treasury Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, the FINCEN, has noted that ransomware attacks continue to rise across various sectors, particularly across governmental entities as well as financial, educational, and healthcare institutions. Ransomware attacks on small municipalities and healthcare organizations have increased, likely due to the victims' weaker cybersecurity controls, such as inadequate system backups and inefficient incident response capabilities. Okay, so tactics. Cybercriminals using ransomware often resort to common tactics such as wide-scale phishing and targeting spread phishing campaigns that induce victims to download a malicious file or go to the malicious site. They may also exploit remote desktop protocol endpoints and software vulnerabilities, or deploy, quote, drive-by, end quote, malware attacks that host malicious code on legitimate websites. Proactive prevention through effective cyber hygiene, cybersecurity controls, and other best practices are often the best defense against ransomware. Ransomware attackers are increasingly engaging in selective targeting of larger enterprises to demand bigger payouts, commonly referred to as, quote, big game hunting, end quote, referring to like hunting there. Anyways, Many cybercriminals are sharing resources to enhance the effectiveness of ransomware attacks, such as ransomware exploit kits. They come with ready-made malicious codes. They actually sell these things. You can buy ransomware. It's kind of ridiculous, but in any case, these kits can purchase, although they are also offered free of charge. Some ransomware groups are also forming partnerships to share advanced code, trends, technologies, and illegally obtained information over shared platforms. Ransomware criminals are also increasingly engaging in, quote, double extortion schemes, end quote, which involve removing sensitive data from the targeted network, encrypting the system files, and demanding ransom. The consequences of the ransomware attack can be severe and far-reaching, with losses of sensitive proprietary and critical information and loss of business functionality. Just seems like a horrible, horrible thing. Someone needs to stop these people. They're terrible. Anyway, the role of financial intermediaries in facilitating ransomware payments and ransomware attacks are a growing concern for the financial sector because of the critical role financial institutions play in the collection of ransom payments. The IRS reminds taxpayers and tax professionals to keep abreast of news about fraud-related behavior, report any instances of fraud immediately. For more information, you can visit the fraud alerts and the tax schemes, how to report them. There's links to that here. There'll be a link to this in the description.